Hello, my name is Adrienne. I'm from Fairview, Pennsylvania, and I'm here to explain my story, why I've been in South Korea, why I'm going back to South Korea, and I encourage you to partner with me and partner with the institution I'm working with in South Korea. If you'd like to help me, my goal is to raise $15,000 for this coming year. The $15,000 that I'm hoping to raise will go to a number of things. Each month I need basic living needs, place to stay, food, things like that. Along with that, there's hopefully some programs that I'd like to encourage. Bring in some tree climbing things or different equipment that we use for the camping and adventure trips and things like that. Then along with that, I mentioned at some point the trips to Israel and Malaysia. So I would need some money for those flights and just the basic trip needs. ILF is abbreviation for the Institute of Light Finders, and it's an organization that has been around for 20 years as of this past year. And we do a number of programs, a number of things, but mostly it's a camping organization. Our mission is to create a youth movement in South Korea and all of East Asia. We want to encourage kids to be themselves, to be creative, to have individual thinking as well as community thinking. And we work with a lot of team building things, a lot of leadership training. Mostly our focus is on the youth, but in order to focus on the youth, we have to focus on the teachers of the youth and the whole society. So we have to talk about how to create the movement, how to start something, how to make it spread, not just to South Korea, but to all of Asia. So that involves a lot of training and making publications. Our founder, who is Chung Jae, he's written over 30 books in South Korea about recreation and camping and everything that's important for the ILF. So that's what ILF is. So my whole life I've been at camp. My father's a YMCA camp director, and we've had this connection since I was 1 year old with, again, I mentioned earlier, the founder, Chung Jae, and he met my dad, and they really hit it off. So my dad really agreed with what Kook was doing. He saw his vision for South Korea and Asia and really wanted to support him. So throughout the past 20-some years, we've had internationals coming from Korea to camps in the U.S. Started out in Minnesota and now here in Pennsylvania. So every summer we'll have some different leaders that come for training. They come for the summer or 18 months. We've had families that work with Kook in Korea that have come and work here at camp with us. They want to get some experience and training. So there's that, and then in the summer we have students. So every summer there's about 12 to 15 students that come from South Korea and want experience at camp in the U.S. So they've come and they are integrated in the regular programs. And so my whole life I've been meeting Korean kids, playing with them, exchanging gifts, listening to them speaking Korean, and all sorts of fun things. And then eventually, about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, my junior year of college, there's 3 girls that came and we really hit it off. We were good friends, and they just told me many, many times that summer, Adrienne, you need to come to Korea. And I finally kind of gave in and told them I would try my best. So I would try to get there. And I wanted to do it as an internship, so it would count for credits and all those things. But they said yes, and so I got to go for my internship. So I got credit, and I had a great time in South Korea. And that really got me started thinking, there's more to this camping thing, and there's more to what's happening in South Korea, and I just wanted to be a part of it more. So I came back to the U.S. to get more experience, and then went again to South Korea. So this past year, 2013, pretty much the whole year I was there, and it was really a lot of awesome experiences, a lot of challenging experiences, but really good, and I just learned more about how ILF works, how to do things, a little bit more about the culture. I think there's still lots to learn about the culture, but it was fun to get a touch and get some understanding. So that was this past year. This future year, I'm planning to go back in just a few weeks, January 2nd, and there's a lot of exciting things planned. Like, I've done some camp programs already with them, and some specialty programs, family camp, youth camp, all sorts of different things, leadership trainings, and then also some different nature schools. So there's a program on weekends that we do. It's a nature school, and then I started my own program with the kids after school once a week. I call it Nature Discovery. So these are things that have happened and will be continuing to happen this next year. Some additions to what's happening this next year includes going potentially to Israel to help with a camp there, and also to go to Malaysia and help with a seminar for Malaysian pastors who are interested in camping as a ministry tool. My trip to Israel is to do a camp in Palestine with kids of any race, really. It's just kind of the idea is kind of a unification camp to get people together and just having fun, and enjoying nature and enjoying each other. And then another trip is the trip to Malaysia, and that trip is with a group of pastors. I had the privilege of meeting them this past year, and they were really excited about doing some sort of conference in Malaysia to explain and encourage the ministry of camping. So using camping along with church to reach out to people and, well, basically share with them about God and Jesus and his love and just what it means to be a community. So in South Korea, there is a number of issues. There's problems in any society. Everywhere you go, every country, every people, they have some challenges. In South Korea, one of the biggest challenges that we're facing is the competitiveness of the education and this kind of stiffness of the whole society as far as camping and fun and creativity is concerned. So kids in general, they don't have any free time or a lot of playtime. So let's see, a day in the life of a 10-year-old, which 10 is pretty young, but that's usually when it starts. They, wake up, they go to school, regular amount of school. Then after school, they maybe have English academy, then they have like science academy, and then potentially they could have like a hula hoop academy. Yes, they have hula hoop academy and jump rope, things like that. But it's not really hula hoop. They have they're tested on hula hooping. They're challenged on all these different ways, and it's really, to us it's kind of ridiculous. But everything is really competitive, and tests they grow up taking tests all the time, and so parents think they don't have any time to just have fun. So they have to go to school, they have to study, and do everything. Otherwise, they won't get into the best college. And if they don't get into the best college, they don't get a good job, and their whole life is ruined, which is the general belief on how things work. So our goal at ILF is to encourage families and kids to give them some time to relax, to give them some time to find themselves, to know what their dream really is, to have their own dream, to be excited about their life, to find creativity and all those things. We hope to really restore relationship. We find a lot of Korean youth and just Koreans in general, well, a lot of people in general, they feel lonely a lot of times. And so we really want to encourage them to build relationships. Relationships are really important in a community and in ILF. So we want to build relationships with people and nature. We want to build relationships with people to people, and relationships people to God. We really believe that all those things are important. If you want to have a strong, healthy life, you need to have the wholesome approach. So you have to have touching the spirit, touching the mind, and touching the body. Otherwise, it's going to be out of balance. So we really are trying to encourage a wholesome approach to life and to camp. And it really makes a difference. I've seen a lot of kids come to camp. They don't know how to have fun. They just show up and they're like, well, we can play all day. That's weird. And they just don't know how to play games. So we really just have fun. We go crazy. The staff, they're all volunteers, but they do a great job interacting with the kids and loving them. And it's just their lives are changed. And after they come to camp once, they generally they'll return the next year or the next season. And I've had the pleasure of seeing a number of kids over the past 3 years that I've been there in and out, seeing them change and just really enjoy their time at camp. So if you would like to join with me and partner with ILF in Korea, there's a number of ways you can do that. one way that's really helpful is giving money. Donations are going to be really helpful. Receiving money is going to be helpful for me for just my general living, but it's also going to be helpful for ILF because they won't be spending money to support me anymore. And then it'll also be good for the people and the kids I interact with. There's just a lot of exciting things that money will help. How you give money is there's a church that has partnered with me, and they're my designated sending agent. So the church is New Beginnings in Fairview, Pennsylvania, and how we're doing it is you can, would just like to write a check or whatever, you can send it and make it out to New Beginnings, and then in the memo line you just put Korea missions, and then each month or every 2 months they will send me money directly to Korea, so we can continue doing what we're doing. So this past year, ILF has been really excited to have me in Korea, and they've been supporting me. So they found a place for me to stay. They paid me each month so I'd have enough for living expenses, for food, all those things. But this coming year, I really feel like if God wants me to continue in South Korea, part of his plan is that I be more of a support for ILF instead of taking. So they would never say that I've been taking. In fact, I just talked with them yesterday, and they were like, don't worry about the money, just come back to Korea. But I really feel like God wants this to be more of a support for them and to encourage them in what they're doing and to really help the movement. Because with them being able to use the money that they would use for me for other purposes, for programs, for the land, for a number of other things, it will really help them. And the money that you are able to give it'll be amazing for me personally, for my living, for my eating food, that's important, and just basic needs. My plan is to live on about $1,000 a month, so my total goal is around $15,000. The extra $3,000 is mostly for an emergencies or for my plane tickets to Israel and then Malaysia. And I'd also hope to bring a few new programs if possible. I have an idea of doing a tree climbing program, which would involve like harnesses and ropes. And if you've ever done tree climbing, it's just a great way to experience nature and be outside and to get active. So there's, as well as supporting me, hopefully we'll be supporting a few new programs that we'll put into our programs. The Institute of Life Finders seeks to do a lot of things. Like in the future, we have a number of exciting plans. Some of them are starting right now. Like we have in process to buy our first piece of land. This land is really exciting because it signifies a lot in South Korea. Land is hard to come by. And so the plan is this February, just a few weeks, we're going to make the final purchase of the land and hopefully start not building yet, but start building presence in that community. It's really exciting because right next to the land that we're purchasing is kind of a campsite or a retreats facility that a church owns. And this church has been really generous, and they've let us use their facilities for free. This past year, we've developed a relationship with them, and it's just really exciting. So we'll have our land, which is right now farmland, and it's zoned as farmland, so we'll have to keep it farmland for at least another year. But it's still land, and it has a whole lot of future. So we hope to eventually maybe make some sort of cabins or program area there and have a base for all that we do. Currently, it's a bit challenging sometimes because all of our equipment and program stuff is in storage. So every time we have camp, we have to get what we need and take it to a different campsite. We've used like a lot of different campsites all over South Korea, and it's good because we have variety and we can be flexible about things, but it's also challenging. Part of the land is the hope that we can create some long-lasting rituals and traditions for our campers, someplace that they can go back to every time and say, this is camp. Right now, they have that because they have the people, the counselors and the volunteers. The kids come and they're like, yeah, this is camp. Like, we do this stuff, and they look forward to it every year, every winter, every summer. So part of the land is that. And then we have one family, Jason and Tajan. They were here at Camp Fitch just about a year ago, and they're planning on moving closer to the land, maybe not on the land yet, but they're looking for a house in that area, and they'll be the beginning of creating the ILF community in that town. So thank you so much for taking time and watching this video. I'm looking forward to going back in a few weeks to South Korea, and I look forward to partnering with you, and I'll also be really grateful for any prayers and emails or anything, any way you'd like to be connected with me this coming year.